Hello everyone, I'm Sylvia. Before I begin my presentation, I want to ask you two questions. Are you a daydreamer who dislikes the present life? And have you considered the purpose of life before? Maybe you are a daydreamer and you didn't consider the purpose of life before. The film The Secret Life of Walter Mitty answers the question, and let's have a look. This is a video presenting the sentence in my right hand. To see the world seems dangerous to come to see behind the wheels, to draw closer, to find each other, and to feel. That's the purpose of life. And due to the copyright limitation, I can't play the video for you. That's a pity. After having a basic idea of the theme of the film, I'm going to introduce you more details about the film and the rhetoric perspectives this film used to persuade the audience to believe its moral. And in this introduction, plot summary and the moral of this film are presented. Though many of you may have watched this film before, I need to summarize the plot of the film for the people who haven't watched this film. In this film, Mitty is an introvert person who can't interact naturally with people, but often buries himself in his own daydreams. The loss of an important negative prompted Mitty to change his life and do things he had been afraid to, such as hitting on his crush and traveling to Greenland. In the process of his traveling, he ventured out to do exciting things, such as fighting with sharks, escaping from the erupting volcano, and climbing the Himalayas. Eventually, he discovers that the negative was actually in his home. Although the adventure has no real effect on his life, he still lost his job and had to sell his father's piano. Mitty was free to stop daydreaming and got down to what life is. And the moral of the film is to stop dreaming, start living. From my perspective, the reasons people have daydreams are because they are not released themselves and they are bounded by too many things in life. And the audience can learn how to gain mental freedom through watching the film. Also, my research question is how do the audience regard the mental freedom from the perspectives of narrative and Neo-Marxism? And then I combine the rhetoric of film using and the plots of this film. I mainly find two rhetoric perspectives this film using. One is narrative perspective, the other one is Neo-Marxism perspective. Let's look at the narrative perspectives attributed to Walter Fisher. The two standards of narrative rationality applied to stories are coherence and fidelity. Narrative coherence is the degree to which a story makes sense, and the narrative fidelity is a degree to which story fits in the observer's experience. And I personally consider the film does good job on the aspects of narrative coherence and narrative fidelity. Walter Mitty's life is like a roller coaster, beginning in a common and even boring lifestyle. Then he has a highlight time. At last, he went back to the ordinary life. The first half-life of Walter Mitty is the same as traditional narrative. which in the end there are some creations. Through comparison of different life periods of Walter Mitty, the audience can rethink their own ordinary life, and their boring work and the annoying bosses. And then their desire towards adventure is aroused. The story doesn't end like other Hollywood movies. The ordinary life after the adventure reminds the audience to deep reflect on their own life. Overall, the film is internally consistent, with sufficient details, strong characters, and significant surprises. The film is partly the same as ordinary people's life, and it persuades people what to believe and how to behave. Secondly, the film also represents the Neo-Marxism perspective in the beginning and at the end. Neo-Marxism in Cohen's understanding is that autonomy can be compatible with social control. Cohen finds the degree of real freedom in real capitalistic society. This kind of value is also delivered in the film The Secret of Walter Mitty. In the beginning of the film, Walter dreamed to laugh at his new leader with his other colleagues, which is a meaningless effort against the powerful people, and he directly rejected his leaders many times and cared less about the leader's feeling. In this scene, Walter was legally free, and Walter was not controlled by the leader, but he's just limited by his own work responsibility. At the end of the film, Walter puts the hard-fought detective in front of the leader. It's an actual fight against the authority who looks down upon the expertise and the work responsibility. Though Walter may be considered as a loser from the side of successful people, because at last he is a proletariat, I regard him as a giant in spirit. And in conclusion, I want to summarize the ideas above and show my own perspectives. So totally, the audience can learn the value of mental freedom when they regard the film from the narrative perspective and Neo-Marxism perspective, and they are convinced to return the normal life and feel the true meaning of ordinary life. And the film The Secret Life of Walter Mitty conveys the value of freedom and its morals that stop dreaming, start living. I think it's very educational. In real world, there are still many people dream a lot and confused about the purpose of life. My suggestion to them is just feel the life. That's enough. And this is my reference. I hope we can learn a lot from each other's presentation. Thank you for your watching.